This is the world's first 240mm super telephoto lens designed specifically for the iPhone 16 Pro and Pro Max. Attaching this lens to the iPhone's telephoto camera doubles the focal length to an impressive 240mm with some gobsmacking results. Not only is it a telephoto lens, it can also shoot macro. But exactly how good are the optics on this lens? Let's find out with a simple experiment where I pit it against my 100 to 400 Sony glass set to 240mm. So the first image I'm going to take is with no lens at all, with the standard 24mm, so you get a sense of scale and how far away I am from that ruin. Now let's pop the 240mm lens on. The first thing you notice about the Sony is the massive amounts of foreground blur, but I do, however, prefer the slightly more detailed look in the tree in the reflex lens. Zooming in shows how the tiny 240mm lens holds its own against the more superior Sony lens and 61 megapixels of the full frame camera. I mean, this is insane reach for an iPhone, and when you consider that the Sony G Master lens, which comes in at £2,100 by the way, you realise just how good the G series lens is from Reeflex. Now, telephoto lenses are all about compression, which is that visual effect where foreground, middle and background appear closer together than in real life. Check this out. So I'm sitting right underneath Nelson's column looking at Big Ben way in the distance. It's a perfect example of that compression I was talking about. A London bus has just entered the frame as foreground interest. The establishing shot at 24mm, moving up to the iPhone's inbuilt telephoto lens at 120mm, and finally the Reeflex's G series lens at 240mm with incredible clarity throughout the entire frame. Having the ability to shoot extreme focal lengths on an iPhone with something the size of a tequila shot glass is pretty incredible. Here's another example of compression. I'm probably 100 yards or so away from Westminster Bridge, and with the London Eye in the background. Classic street photography with 240mm. So what this lens is also great for is those stacked, blurry, artistic shots where foreground and background are out of focus and whatever's in the middle is in focus. They use this technique in the movie business all the time. So for this, you're going to want to choose MF, which is manual focus, and then use the slider to gain perfect focus on the subject. Then we're ready to fire away and get some shots. I deliberately placed an old rangefinder camera in the foreground, then measured out a focus point for a self-portrait with a motorway bridge as a backdrop. Once again, I programmed a 10-second timer using the Reeflex Pro Camera App. And the result is professional grade subject isolation. The closer the foreground object is to the iPhone, the more blur you're going to achieve. You are going to have great success using this glass as a portrait lens because we can achieve a natural bokeh without some kind of fake digital effect that the iPhone inbuilt camera app offers. Incidentally, this lens is the perfect companion for the iPhone Filmmaker when used alongside pro apps like Blackmagic Camera. So what I'm doing here is using the Blackmagic Camera app to shoot some quality footage in Apple ProRes with the 240mm lens attached to the 120 telephoto lens on the iPhone 16 Pro. I'm shooting through the reeds on the lakeside bank to get that compressed image, and then I'm going to capture some boats just passing by. Should make for some nice footage. 24mm footage, swapping over to the iPhone's telephoto, and finally doubling the focal distance with the G series lens to 240mm with some very nice cinematic results. I also managed to capture some stills photos with 120 and 240mm. Comparing these images side by side and digitally cropping in to match the G series lens, the results speak for themselves. So I'm here trackside at Mercedes-Benz World capturing Apple ProRes footage at 60 frames per second on the 24mm iPhone camera, and this is how far away I am from that yellow car. But swapping to the telephoto camera and then attaching the G series lens, we can get up close and personal to the action. If we zoom in on the car, it becomes clear just how sharp the optics are on that rear number plate, especially considering we're about 150 yards away. You can also use this telephoto lens alongside Reeflex's other apps like Relapse to create some cinematic time lapses. I set the app to capture 1 second exposures with 1 second intervals over a period of 7.5 minutes, producing a 5-second time lapse. If you're interested in how this incredible app works, I have a dedicated video tutorial on my channel. This lens also has an ace up its sleeve. Not only is it a telephoto lens, it can also shoot macro. They come in not 1 but 2 minimum focusing distances of 200 and 300 millimeters, and the magnetic optical attachments snap on snugly into place. Performing a simple test and igniting a standard size match, the 200mm lens allows you to focus 20 centimeters from the subject, resulting in greater magnification and better macro photography and videography with incredible 4K detail. Something as minute as a blade of grass with a dewdrop on it can be picked up by this lens with the MACRO 200mm attachment. Nice steady hand here. Trying out the 300mm macro on this cute little rosebud with the iPhone 15 Pro, about 30 centimeters from the subject, and what will help you gain perfect focus is the focus peaking assistant, clicking this little eye symbol here. Zooming in on this rose reveals the professional detail and sharpness at the macro level. Here's another macro idea using an autumn leaf. Notice the beautiful round bokeh and subject isolation. The clarity in the water droplets on all of these images are truly exceptional for mobile phone photography. Now, the company behind this mighty little lens is called Reeflex, and they've been featured on my channel a few times in the past for the simple fact that I think they make great products. Whether it's smartphone camera apps like Re-Expose for those slow shutter images, handheld long exposures using Reheld, time lapses with Relapse, or that wonderful set of G-series lenses for the iPhone, which I championed a while back. Well, now we can add this 240mm telephoto lens to the lineup. So a few things to mention about this lens. It's only compatible with the telephoto and tetraprism lenses on the iPhones 16, 15 and 14 Pro and Max models. So you can't shoot on the main 24mm camera because you'll end up with some weird tunnel effect, which means we're only shooting at 12 megapixels of resolution or 4K in video, but still quality is insane. It is compatible and optimized to work with the Samsung S23 and 24 models. I think the S23 model has 480mm of reach when this is attached to it, which is just stupid. But if you do want to get the most out of this lens, I would suggest using it with the iPhone 16 Pro or Max models or the 15 Pro Max. I mean, the guys over at Reeflex are constantly pushing the boundaries of what's possible with iPhone photography and videography. And of course, with the latest Apple ProRes on the iPhones. I mean, who needs to carry around one of these in your bag when you can put that in your back pocket? Needless to say that the build quality of the lens is first class, all metal design, just like their lineup of other G-series lenses. And this particular lens is now designed and built fully in-house by those guys at Reeflex, and it's got a patent pending. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video. Please give us a thumbs up if you did. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. That would really help me out as a content creator myself. And I'll see you on the flip side.